So looking at it, bro, we got to go ahead and get in at least 10,000. So looking at it, bro, we got to go ahead and get in at least 10,000.
Hello, hello, hello. Hi, hello, Brian.
Hello, how are you?
I was kind of hesitating, kind of doing that whole like teasing, but at this point, I don't think Elon Musk sort of waits for Trump to kind of like, you know, intro him in meetings. He just opens the door and starts talking.
And the worst part is that it's not getting any better because this guy seems to do whatever he wants.
Exactly. Exactly. So, yes, hi, ladies and gentlemen. If you're listening, I'm sure some of you are happy. Because every time you're on, people are like, oh my God, I loved the episode. And I'm
Stop,
like,
bro.
okay, gee, thanks.
Oh wow. Oh wow. I don't believe that at all.
No, you've seen it, like you've seen it online, like I've told you as well. So we're so grateful to have you. And you know what? What does your morning routine look like? There's a reason I'm asking.
Listen, my routine is basic, okay? Basic. And the best part of it maybe involves a bit of gym here and there, a bit of a walk, but it's very basic. I I know why you're asking the things that you've seen out there.
Have you seen the Saratoga branded? First of all, I had never heard of that brand of water. Is it there in the UK?
I don't even know. I have
I don't
no
think
idea.
so.
I am as confused as you are.
Yeah. So for those who are not chronically online, there is this video that's going about. Is this guy called Anthony Hall? Right, so he's an influencer, and he does like fitness sort of thing. So he did like a video, a sort of like morning routine where he wakes up at like 3 in the morning, and
3:30,
then
of
people have
course.
been like, yeah, people just
Why?
have been having a go at the video go, but he does well, people are calling it a balcony twerk, like where he goes out at 4 a.m. and then he does push up, and then he puts his face in like iced water, and then he uses a banana peel to smoothen his face. It's all very, very interesting.
Interesting is the right word.
Yeah, yeah.
Interesting is the right. It's unique. Let's put it that way. Listen, I would love to be part of the 5 a.m. club or whatever they call themselves these days, or 6 a.m. club. But it's just me, man. It's just me. I like to wake up and get out. I don't like faffing about.
Mm,
I'd rather do stuff early part of the morning, early part of the afternoon if I'm doing gym or stuff like that. And then
yeah.
after that, that's me done for the day and continue the other half of the day. But this whole idea of waking up at 3 in the morning, it works for some people. It just doesn't work for me because I like having a good evening after everything. I like 2, 3 hours in the evening where I can just chill. The thing about waking up at 6 a.m. for the 6 a.m. club or 5 a.m. club or 3:30 a.m., you've got to be in bed at 7 p.m.
Mm-hmm. But you know what? I must say, I mean, 3 a.m. is obviously okay, guys. Obviously, this guy is doing it for the gram, right? And he's an influencer. And I was thinking, Uti, all the people clowning him, like he's got so many impressions. I now even follow him on Instagram because I kind of saw the play. Because I was like, do you know what? This is clever because any engagement, whether you're clowning him or not, is engagement. And to me it looked like well, although there's kind of like debate, but it looked like this is a promo for this water, this Saratoga water. Although I don't know, he didn't put ad, maybe that's like an issue, like hashtag ad, like on the post. But I was gonna say, the times I have tried, the very few I can count on my hand the number of times, well, except for when I was like at school, like mission schools where they make you wake up at like 5:30, or at ungodly hours. But the times I have tried to be part of the 5 a.m., 6 a.m. club, I will say it's painful waking up, but the day is so productive. Oh my goodness. Like you wake up early, get a little workout. Like it just yeah, I hate that people are right when they say the early bird catches the worm or whatever. But like I said, I have been unable. I've been so I haven't been motivated, but yeah, it but if you are able to go, because for most people, like if you don't do it in the morning during the day, then it's almost impossible.
That's the thing, right? Well, it just comes down to that preference aspect, I think, at the end of it all. What works for you. As much as, yeah, I've woken up at 6 a.m., blah, blah, blah. It's great, in its own way. But I feel you crash out quite quicker, and earlier, because by the time it gets to 4 o'clock, you just don't want to be talking to anyone that much. For me, anyway.
I
I've
was
lost
gonna,
I've lost every level of energy after that.
I was,
So 4 or 5 is 7 p.m. I've got to be in bed.
yeah, yeah, that's true. But anyway, guys, you need to check out the video. Maybe I'll put a link in the description if just in case you haven't seen it. But let me just introduce the podcast in case there are any new people that are listening. Hi guys, you're listening to Chat with Nat with me, Natasha. My friends call me Nat, and we have got our regular guest who we call our Elon Musk because he has a stake on this podcast, which is why we're referring to Elon Musk at the top, Mr. Brian Lunga. Hello,
Number one
Brian.
shareholder. Thank you. The
The
shareholder himself.
the shareholder himself, and you know what? So we had a really interesting week last week, right? Which is why Brian is here because he had to come and see what's happening with this investment. You know, in Toronto they say chichirukitika, whatever. It's like let me see.
Oh no. Yeah. Yeah, after last week's episode I thought, let me see how the investment is growing.
Yeah, let's see if they're telling me the truth about the returns. Long time, there's no returns yet. Let me see if it's true. But yeah, for those of you who, because I know some people like listen to different episodes. So last week we had Kaya Dlanga on. So Kaya Dlanga is an author, a South African author. I believe I forgot to ask him this, but I believe he was Thabo Mbeki's speechwriter at some point. I could be wrong, but I think he was. So that was a really, 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 really good episode. And basically the background. Oh yeah, because I didn't share because I wasn't gonna share before it happened.
Yeah.
But those of you who follow like online know, like I literally this is my year of being shameless. So this is the context. Like no shame. Like you cannot shame me. That is my motto for this year. So basically, I listened to his episode that he had with Trevor Noah, which was so good. I still highly recommend it. And then I put a comment like one of the multiple comments like I put on his social media, like, oh my god, I enjoyed this episode. And then he screenshot one of my comments and put it in his Instagram story, right? So someone shared it with me and was like, look. I was like, oh my god. And I was like, you know what, this is my sign to shoot a shot. So it literally was like 10:30. And you know what? I was like, I went to the bathroom. I said, I put the phone out. I was like, let me do a TikTok. I was like, hi Kaya Dlanga, please come on, come on the podcast. I was looking crusty as ever, and I was like, you know what? I don't care. Put it out on TikTok and Instagram. And I just want to say thank you so much to you guys, because on Instagram I was like, please guys tag him, and a lot of people tagged him, which caught his attention. And then long story short, like he messaged, he was like, okay, like tell me about your podcast. And then I had to give my best pitch, you know. I was like you would have been proud, Brian. I had to give my, you know, the best high level pitch, like this is what we're doing. Please
Listen,
on.
what did you say in the beginning of the podcast? Any engagement is engagement, if you think about it.
Yeah.
Because when those metrics are being looked at, nobody looks at this one was being horrible, this one was being nice. No one looks at that. It's you had 1.3 million views, full stop. And of that 1.3 million views, they were on the page for 30 seconds. This one was on the page for 15 seconds. This one was on the page for 9. That's
Yeah,
it. There's
yeah.
not going to be a quotation that says this one shamed you, this one laughed at you, this one.
See,
Beneficiaries. Shareholder here is going to enjoy. Shares are coming to fruition.
enjoy the dividends. So yeah, and you know, I think it taught me something, and we'll talk about this before we press record. That you know, like when you're doing these things that are creative things, which a lot of us sort of do alongside our day jobs, right? That pay us.
Yeah.
It's a labor of love, right? But I was like, you know what, it kind of taught me something, because when I was pitching and I was like, this is what we do, I was able to kind of show like, okay, yeah, we're everywhere, we're on Spotify, we're Apple, and he was able to see that, oh, okay, like it's a weekly podcast. Even if he did like listen to everything, like he kind of got a flavor of what we do. So I think I would just encourage you guys, like, if you whatever you're doing, consistency is amazing, because I think it would have been one thing to be like, oh, please come on my podcast, and then he was like, but the last episode was
6 years
like,
ago.
yeah, do you know what I mean? So I was so thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Sorry, Brian, you wanted to say something?
No, no, no. I was just saying, no, it's perfect, and that's how it should be, right? At the end of it all, whatever the only thing that matters, as I said, is the fact that you are achieving those small little milestones that you have. Um, I think sometimes instead of having 600,000 milestones, it's okay to have two of them that get you part of that 600,000.
Yeah,
Just do the basics and just say next week this is what I aim to do, and that's it. And at
yeah,
the end of the year, you look back and you go, "Oh crap, I've achieved all of that."
yeah,
Just
yeah.
because you're taking a chip in at it one by one, rather than seeing the end picture all the time, the end goal all the time, because it becomes overwhelmingly huge if you do that sometimes. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah, and what I loved about this whole thing, for me, it wasn't really, obviously the output was the interview, right? But it was the journey to it, right? Because it was everyone who, when I was like, guys, please tag, and the people that tagged, right? And then when we got the interview, it was, everyone was like, oh my god, so we, and everyone was like, we got the interview, right? It was like, oh my god, we got the interview. So for me and Mina, I that's one of the things I really love, like, is building community.
yeah,
Like that's honestly what I enjoy. So I enjoyed that people really felt like, and people were really happy for the platform, and people also felt like, people were like, "Kadlanga siyabonga." They were not like, thank you for doing this for Natasha. They're like, no, like, so, so I was like, what, our community is small and demure, but our punch is heavy. And what I like about our community is that, it's people who've got money. These people who've got money, like, they've got jobs. So if you guys want to advertise on the podcast, listen, we've got some heavy hitters out here. So
love that.
yeah, but I'll just quickly, before we move on, I just quickly wanted to shout out a few people. So just some comments on YouTube following the Kajang episode. Daniel says, this is on YouTube, says, such an insightful conversation. Kajang always brings a unique perspective on life. And at Thomas Q2, whatever, sorry, says, really enjoyed this episode, so many valuable lessons about resilience and growth. And then Tafaza on Bofo says, great interview, congratulations Nat, thank you so much Tafaza. And then Farai6 says, enjoyed this a lot, so thank you guys. And there were so many comments on X, on Twitter, so I thank you siyabonga. So moving on, what do we want to talk about? Oh yes, Brian. Yeah. is there anything that's been happening on the political side? You know, I'm seeing. Is there a coup happening in Zim? I don't know. Like, do you know what? Like, I'm at that point. Like, I just see things online, and I'm like, scroll, 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 scroll. So
There's
yeah, no. Is there?
there's a lot happening
Mm-hmm,
on the continent at the moment that, yeah, there's a lot happening. To best summarize it, I would say, starting from the southern tip of the continent, South Africa. Of course, you heard about, I think it's close to 9,000, if I'm not mistaken.
mm-hmm.
No, I'm not. I am wrong. It is close to about 70,000 South Africans have taken the leap and inquired about settling in the United States after Donald Trump's offer. So there's been a significant interest in that. Let's put it that way. So most of them inquired via the South African Chamber of Commerce, which is a non-political, non-governmental organization. But they've compiled all of this and sent it to the U.S. Embassy in South Africa to have a look at. But yeah, there's quite a sizable number that have decided to take the leap. Um, what struck me with that was the demographic, because I think there was
I
about
wanted to
24 to
ask.
45. Most of them were 24 to 45, and I thought this this is more than just, it's more economic opportunities rather than political persecution.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is just playing on statistics, right? Whenever we look at the age group demographic, you always roughly get a picture of what it is. If it was, for example, 45 to 85, you would have a rough idea that most of them were probably active farmers that were farming and don't see a dividends or returns in their farming investments. Now, again, this is playing on probabilities. Equally, if we're talking about 24 to 45, probabilities speak of graduates that have probably have had enough and not getting the opportunities they're looking for, opportunities they deem they need after graduation. Equally, the probability of it being farmers is very, very low. But nonetheless, quite interesting. A lot of them had English slash Afrikaner names. Um, I mean, again, probabilities speak a lot. Take what you will from that.
Mm-hmm.
um, what do we do as well? We'll move a little bit further to Zimbabwe, where there have been obviously a few economic struggles within the country for the past 30 odd years. Um, 30 odd years being disingenuous, let's say maybe 20 years, where the real struggles really came into the forefront rather. Um, yeah, I don't know what to say about that situation because we've seen it all before. Um, we've seen it all before. It's nothing new within the Zimbabwe political landscape where someone will come and fight, gains traction on the internet, disappears without a whiff overnight, and that's that. We move on. We
Yeah.
saw this flag came, it went. We saw the coup that never was a coup, it came, it went. But the dynamics largely remained quite similar. We saw the the rise of MDC in the late 90s, early thousands came, went. We saw Zanundonga in the early 90s making a huge wave, came, went. We've seen it all before. I guess it comes to a point where does the real change really happen? Now that's where we can talk about it. I personally have always thought that for any change to happen in Zimbabwe, the change has to happen internally within ZANU-PF. That's always been my thought. Purely because they harness so much power right across every level of um, every level of the country, from the judiciary to the political landscape, all the way to the media, to you name it. They harness so much power right through it all. The only transformation, if we are looking for transformation, that is, it has to come within ZANU-PF ranks. That's my take on it. Swiftly moving on. Um,
Swiftly.
Take what you will of that. Swiftly moving on. We've also got the Burundi president coming out saying that Rwanda, um, he's got credible evidence that Rwanda wants to attack Burundi, and he's willing to fight. Again, take it with a pinch of salt. It, I feel as though the diplomatic relations in that corner of the world at the moment are very fragile. Good thing that we had is that the Democratic Republic of Congo president sat down with the president of Rwanda a week or so ago, rather, and they had a conversation about a possible ceasefire. Um, Again, I'm not saying Rwanda is heavily involved. We take what we take, we go what we take. Rwanda say they're not involved, they're just um, facilitating conversation between the M23 rebels and the Congolese government. Again, we will take everything with a pinch of salt. But the Burundi president has come out saying he fears there might be an attack on his country anytime soon by Rwanda. He's got credible evidence on that. Again, I think this speaks for the for where the that corner of the region is at the moment, where it is very unstable. I think M23 rebels are gaining ground more than anyone thought. What does that mean for the Congolese government and all other governments that are behind the Congolese? Um, let's not forget South Africa is an ally, Zimbabwe is an ally, Mozambique is an ally, Angola is an ally of the Congolese government. So, what does that mean for them going forward? Do they pump more resources into peacekeeping? Do they totally pull out, as South Africa is saying? I know Zimbabwe pulled out totally a few years ago. Um, do they bring more in? It brings up a lot of questions that I think um, will be answered over the next sort of few weeks as to what does stability and peace look like within that Congolese region, and how credible is the Burundi president when it comes to his fears that he might be attacked by um, the Rwandan government. But again, we take it all with a grain of salt.
Interesting, interesting. I know. Thank you, thank you for that. I have nothing to add. I think it's interesting. The Burundi thing is interesting. It's interesting, like you said, what's happening in that corner of the world, because in a recent episode, I talked about a report that was saying that Congo was mulling over a possible U.S. deal, right? Like a minerals deal, I guess, in exchange for U.S. military support, right? So when I hear the Burundi thing, I'm like, okay, like, is there? I mean, listen, I don't know. People from Burundi, please let us know. Let us know what you guys think. But no, I thank you, and congratulations to Umasiziba. So I only okay. I just saw a clip right online where they were congratulating Kirsty Coventry, where Albert Yat was congratulating Kirsty Coventry, and he was doing the poem, and he said Masizi. I was like, oh, okay, right.
Um,
So yeah,
that's
congratulations.
interesting because it brings up probably two things that I probably have missed as well. Again, Kirsty Coventry being the president of the IOC, International Olympic Committee. Now, what surprised me and what made me laugh the most of all of this is the backlash from the British media. The Telegraph, the Times were very vocal because they were very keen for Seb Kor to become the next president. It was almost written in the stars that he was the next president of the IOC. And now everyone forgets that Kirsty has been part of the IOC for a very long time now. She's sat in one of these sort of similar to parliamentary committees. They have little sub. She's been part of that,
Yeah.
so she has more than every right to, to be elected. Now, whether she's done well for Zimbabwe sport, that's a different category altogether. Has she been part of the IOC for a while? Certainly has. Did she win a few gold medals at the Olympics? Certainly has. So, for all intents and purposes, she has every right to be within that circle.
Yeah.
Um, So yeah, it was quite interesting that one of the slanders was the fact that she received $100,000 dollars from Robert Mugabe, and that she received a farm from Robert Mugabe. All those things started coming out. She was part of a murderous regime. It was very intriguing that all of a sudden the British media had found a voice on Zimbabwe randomly. British media now can say something against Zimbabwean government. So
Yeah.
they had a few publications over 3 4 day spell where it was very anti Zimbabwe. Now, of course, there's certain elements. Like I said, you can go back, look at it. How has she done as a minister of sport in Zimbabwe? Is there a lot that she needs to do? 100%. Has she done well? Personally, jury's still out. I don't think so. Right? That's just a personal opinion. Please don't attack Natasha on her podcast. That was a personal opinion by me. Don't do anything to Natasha.
Yeah, why do you keep repeating this? Please, please,
If you know,
please.
you know. If you know, if you don't get it, forget about it.
The full name. Please do not do anything to that. Yeah, please, please.
The second part that I forgot was around the struggles that a lot of people now, especially within East and Southern Africa, are facing with US aid pulling out, and all of a sudden the issues that um, are happening around um, HIV, AIDS, medication. There's a serious shortage now right across the continent. Um, Again, we could say this speak volumes of the organization by our own political class, because I would have expected that if they know that this is happening, this was the time then, as the Minister of Health, go out there, go to all the pharmaceuticals and get as much medication as possible. But here we are.
Yeah, no. It's interesting. Before I forget, it's saying your battery is less than 20%. So, please, if this podcast abruptly ends, it's because Brian's battery.
I'll
So,
plug it in. I'll plug it in in a
all right,
second.
cool. No. I think, yeah, yeah. No. All interesting with the Kirsty Coventry thing. Um, for me, yeah. I mean, clearly she hasn't done a good job. The fact that Zimbabwe has to host games in different in other countries, but I kind of, this is my working theory, right? So my theory was that I think Kirsty, out of everyone, is the most excited to be having this gig, her and her family, because it gives her a legitimate out from the system, right? Um, Again, this is just my own working theory, right? Because I don't know, except maybe for like Fortune Chassis, who was like the energy minister, who seemed to be doing kind of okay and seemed to be getting, you know, good reviews, I would say. But obviously he then was kind of pushed out of government. I think it's almost impossible to think you can come into a dysfunctional administration and think you can be the minister that brings structure and function into a system, right? So, I mean, if we go back even years, same reason why Nkosana Moyo resigned, right, when he was made minister, where he was like, no, that this isn't working. So I feel like, I kind of feel like Kirsty, also, again, this is just my theory, I kind of feel like it's one of those things, like when they offered her or offered quite a number of people to be ministers, like you literally couldn't really say no. So I'm like, I feel like her getting this, if she were not a minister in Zimbabwe, maybe she wouldn't have wanted to be an IOC president. But because she was like, I am going to campaign. Well, that's why she won, because she was like, we are going to campaign like we've never campaigned before. And I'm like, I think when she got the vote, she was like, oh, thanks be to God, because now I can resign with a legitimate reason.
Yeah, more, probably it's possible, and I like what you said there. That even if you're the most competent person at the end of the day, if you're coming within a system that doesn't, you say dysfunctional, but I even go further and say within a system that doesn't appreciate what difference and change looks like, then it's very difficult, because you can turn around and say this will do this, but
Yeah.
they don't share the same vision, so it's very difficult to even get
Yeah.
the funding to do whatever it is that you want to do.
Yeah. Yeah. So well done. So Mr. Mtulingube, I don't know what World Bank, do they have presidency or
Oh wow, you're taking it. Oh my God.
I mean, and you know what? Just quickly, when you talk about like the press that she was receiving, I think it's just such an interesting time. In another time, this would have been a big deal, right? That you were part of this regime, you're part of. But I think so much has just happened in the world that you hear that, and I think there's a bit of skepticism, right, just around mainstream media already, and skepticism about how the West views the global South, so that's why it's not really sticking. If we were maybe 8 years and more, I think it would have been something, right?
But
Like the press, if it was,
but then the other thing is this. If you want me to be brutally honest, the other thing is this, is that in a global context, Zimbabwe is irrelevant. That's the honest truth. We can say whatever we want to say and act like we are great, all this and that and the third, but in a global context, Zimbabwe is irrelevant. That's
yeah,
that's the harsh reality of it all, right?
yeah,
We can go around and say we've got 98% literacy rate, blah blah blah. It doesn't matter in a global context. Nobody cares.
yeah, yeah,
Nobody really cares. We are irrelevant in a global context. There's no global narrative that Zimbabwe can shift or change or influence. None. In order
mm,
for Zimbabwe to influence a global narrative, it has to join arms with the likes of South Africa, possibly Russia, China. Even with that, our so-called allies in the East, Russia and China, they don't take us as we need to really look after them and do the best for them. We need to go
no,
see them every week. We need to, no, more than anything else, that's what they'll do to Congo, because Congo is a slightly more relevance.
yeah,
And Kenya is more relevance.
yeah.
That's, I sound very harsh in
No,
reality, but
it's true, man.
in a global context, we are zero. And that's why if they publish one story today,
Mm,
no one is going to carry it tomorrow.
yeah, yeah,
We
and
just got press a lot purely because Bob had very interesting speeches. He had charisma. We got
yeah,
press because of Bob's charisma. It wasn't because Zim was such a threatening country to European affairs or British affairs. It
yeah,
wasn't. Right? We
yeah,
got press because Bob just had charisma and he shouted a lot at the British press and at the British government when he wanted to, when he
yeah.
felt he was not getting the benefits that he was promised.
Yeah, yeah. No, no,
That's all it
no.
was.
I hear you. And then just last on the Kirsty Coventry thing, Nick Mangwana, who is he? He's the information minister or something. I'm not sure what his actual title is. So he was on. So obviously all the ZANU PF people are like eating this up. Oh my God, Kirsty Coventry. And then he clearly went to chat GPT because he was like, oh, the benefits of Kirsty Coventry being, and then he was like, oh, it will increase visibility in Zimbabwe. And then there was something about funding, right? And then I had to comment, like, what? Okay, let me say someone commented, not me, someone commented and said, listen, you know what, the IOC is a proper organization with governance structures. It's not run like a tuck shop like Zimbabwe, like, so please, like, just like, I was just like, are you not ashamed? Like, you're there saying, oh, maybe we can get like, oh, these people infuriate me. But anyway, it was someone, not me. Someone said it's not a tuck shop. It's not me. But it was not Brian. Guys, please do not do anything
How am I
to
involved?
Brian.
I'm just a guest. on this podcast. Don't know anything. I'm just a guy.
Listen, I'm just a guy. Okay. It's just a guy with no morning routine. All right, moving on. Quickly. I just quickly wanted to talk about this because I'm hoping like we'll do like a proper episode or something. So can you believe it's been 5 years since we had the first lockdown in the UK. So we had the first lockdown on the 23rd of March, where the then Prime Minister Boris Johnson was like, please stay at home. And, I think at the time we had seen China and some countries had started doing lockdown, and people were now really starting to understand the gravity of COVID-19, and it's been 5 years. And one of the things that I really want to do, I think I've mentioned this before, but this is a proper call to action. I really want to have conversations with people about their pandemic stories, right? It could be anything. It could be, if you're comfortable enough to do it, we could kind of do it like the filling station where you don't really say your name. We just do audio, but obviously people who know your voice will know that it's you. There's some people who worked as nurses, as care workers, as doctors during that time. There's some people who unfortunately experienced loss. There's some people who had COVID, and who had long COVID after that. There's some people who were at home, doing TikToks, having fun. Some people fell in love. Some people, there's, and that's when like we really started having Zoom funerals, and, the an uptick of like watching funerals via Facebook, especially for us migrants. And I think there were some unique things that impacted us as migrants, just not being able to travel, right? Not being able to be with families for like important milestones. And for me, I just always think, oh man, it happened. We were like clapping hands for like the essential workers, and then the world kind of just moved on. And I think there are all these kind of stories and people that were really impacted, that have kind of been left behind. So I really want to yeah, talk about it because I feel like the that whole period impacted me. I feel like who I came out as was not who I entered, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like it really impacted how I viewed life and the decisions I made after. Because I was like, another lockdown ain't like, I can't do this. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, Brian, where were you like when it all started? And yeah, like, I guess how would you describe that period, if you can even describe it?
I loved it. I loved it so much.
Uh huh.
I loved it.
Why?
Everything got to slow down, right? Everything
Okay.
got to slow down. Think about it. For once, right? I want to sound like a crazy man for a second, yeah, but for once, the
Mm.
birds could fly without smelling any jet fuel. They could just fly and enjoy themselves, right? For once, the lions in the park somewhere could just roam around without worrying that they're going to hear some random truck noise and hear some random humans whispering around, right? I'm
Yeah.
I'm saying this because our lion's sense of hearing is impeccable. So a little noise is a lot for them. That's what I'm basing it on. But I loved it. I genuinely thought, you know, um, for once, let's all just sit down. I was gonna
Mm.
swear there for a second, right? Just sit
Let's all
down.
chill.
Just
Yeah.
bloody sit down. You know,
Yeah.
and I get it, right? A lot of people struggled, especially if you're on your own, all this, that, and the third. People did struggle. I fully get that. But the flip side as well of it, I think the benefits of not only what we did for the planet, 3 months of everything stopped for the planet is phenomenal for it if we're going down that environmental route. 3 months of people actually being at home together for the first time on a family scale. I think that was really good because all of a sudden, as families, we now had to relearn how to spend time together. Something that we didn't realize we're not doing.
Yeah.
Because if someone's out at 6 in the morning, next one's out at 7, we're hardly seeing each other as, brother, sister, partners, whatever. So all of a sudden now we're spending time together again. We're eating together again. We're chilling out together. And I think it brought back that community feel that we're always talking about. So
Yeah.
in my perspective, I thought it was there were benefits of it. And all of a sudden we started realizing that some meetings don't need a face to face. It's okay for me to speak to you via Zoom for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
need to see you, right?
Yeah.
And we start appreciating those moments a little bit more. And all of a sudden realize that you don't have to commute into the office every day, right? It's overrated in the grand context of things. It's taking you away from you, right? So all those little things, I think there was a lot that we realized. We realized um, how we take healthcare workers for granted, which I think a lot of people have not really taken time to notice that as a healthcare worker, you're doing 12-hour shifts back to back, and you have no, like, you can't
Mm.
stop. It's just
Mm.
continuous. It's just going on and on.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think those little things were beneficial in the grand context of things. Of course,
Mm.
people struggled. Death was part of it. Um, People going through mental health issues was part of it. I'm not going to take that away at all. I
Yeah.
think, again, flip side is COVID gave us a moment to reflect on that. What does mental health look like? And we came out of COVID taking it much more seriously than we ever did. Uh, we came out of COVID taking diversity and inclusion more than we ever did. Right.
Mm.
So as much as we struggled through it in aspects, that struggle gained visibility. People
Yeah.
learned, people saw, and that's something that I think we can't take away from COVID.
Yeah. No, I love that. I love that because that's why I want to have the conversations because it's a whole spectrum, right? So it's not just like, sad. It's like you say, it's slowing down. And I used to go to the office like 5 days a week. We used to work from home, but maybe like once. But you'd always kind of feel like you're doing
It's
something
like you had
naughty.
to beg for it. Can I do it today, please?
Yeah, yeah. Like Friday was like unofficially our working from home day, and to be honest, people were not really working because I think we didn't even have like a we didn't even know how to like work from home, if that makes sense. But obviously now we do. But so I think about that, and I think I cannot imagine doing nursery. Wake up in the morning, doing nursery run, and then going to the tube, and then being at my desk by 8:45. I mean, I already do that like once or twice a week. It's supposed to be
That's
more, but anyway,
Listen. As long as you get your work done.
listen. So I'm just like, yeah. So no, I really love what you said, but on the, yeah, we need to have another conversation. I need to have so I'm gonna so you're one of the people I'm gonna have episode with where we talk about COVID because like you mentioned like the diversity and inclusion, a lot of things, even like the healthcare worker appreciation. Yes, briefly, and then it's all been lost, right? A lot of gains we thought we gained over that period, like now, fast forward 5 years later, people are just like, ooh, DNI, what is that? Like, brother, ooh. They're like, oh, healthcare
Yeah.
workers, pay rise. Ooh, what is that?
That's,
So,
but
yeah.
you see, I think as much as that's there, at least now we can have a pushback to it. So
Mm,
even when we're saying healthcare workers are not paid enough, people can have pushbacks and say, no, give them a bit extra money. Whereas before it was just like, meh, just like,
yeah.
meh. Whereas even DNI now, we're actually talking about it to say, my man over there on the other side decided, nah, he doesn't want DEI.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
all of a sudden now we're talking about it. Whereas before it was just like, put it to the side.
No, I hear you. It's talking about no, I can't segue because I thought that was gonna be a, but anyway, let's change my gear. Let's change the gears. So I wanted to talk about the Breakfast Club. Do you watch or listen to the Breakfast Club?
Nah, you know what? Clips here and there. That's the thing. I've never dedicated time like that unless if it's someone that I like. But that was like 5 years ago.
Yeah. Oh, so you used to listen to them like 5 years ago.
Yeah, but way before COVID.
Oh,
Someone I kind of
okay.
like. I'm like,
Yeah. Okay. So but anyway, but you're familiar with the Just Hilarious thing.
Give us a little bit more gist.
Okay. You don't have to ask me twice. So anyway, I love Breakfast Club. Like I've been listening to the Breakfast Club for years, for more than 10 years. But now obviously I listen to it, clips and stuff.
Ever since I came back, it was weird. Yes, it was weird. Yeah, I at first, no, I did not. I wasn't too fond of Lauren. No, I wasn't too fond of her when I came back because we had a whole plan, even how when I came back, how I pick her to fill in for me, right? I come back, she ain't never leave. Then, all right, cool that she don't leave, but she's on only during my segment. If she was meant to be a fourth host, move her in another way. Why she got to be moved in on? Because nobody had a problem with Jess with the mess until she started reading right. You know what I mean? Till she started
So,
reporting. I wasn't hired as a reporter. I was hired as Jess with the mess. So she started reading and delivering details and all that stuff.
Yes.
Then that's when Jess with the mess wasn't good enough no more. That's how it was presented. So I'm like, all right, cool.
Who said that though? Because the internet said that?
What are we talking about? No. This is our listeners. This is yeah. Why can't we worry about the comments? And these are people that enjoy the show and watch the show. It's not all about Instagram. It's YouTube. It's like we have people that have been watching the show. Yeah, she's great at what she do. That's why I picked her to fill in for me. But when I came back, it's like, what's going on? If she's going to be a fourth voice, why she only got to be a fourth voice
correct me if
on
I'm
my
wrong.
segment?
She wasn't a fourth voice. She was a producer. She was hired as a news producer to help with getting all news and doing interview
She was going to be the
questions.
senior news producer.
She wasn't on there. When you came back, Lauren was not on there. She was in the back doing questions, sending interview questions, reporting the news. Am I lying?
I thought you was.
I thought she
am I
on
lying?
air. She was on air.
Can I ask a question?
What?
Why didn't you wear the do-rag this morning?
Because
Why you joke so much, man?
What you mean? I'm
not a
just.
joke.
it's not a
Lord.
do-rag, it's a
not a
silk
joke.
scarf,
What you
nigga.
mean?
But it's not.
It's
It's
not-
not
it's
a
not a
joke.
joke,
I'm
man.
If you
serious.
gonna bring it to the radio, I want to laugh.
It's not a joke, but
Okay?
see,
Nah, but
it's not a joke. See,
It's a serious issue about
it
it.
is a serious issue.
Okay, let me just
Now-
sit back and watch then, because I'm not Joe Clark.
Because it's not.
I am actually. Give me my baseball bat.
Now it's now Envy. That's what I'm saying. No, nobody has even tried to clean up the narrative that I'm a villain. Man,
You're not a villain. Who said you a villain?
Yo, stop acting like you don't live in them comments too, Charlotte.
What do
Stop
I-
acting like
what-
you don't
but what do I-
understand.
But what do I always tell you? I say stop listening to the internet. Stop listening to the comments. Stop listening to the folks on YouTube. Don't let them trick you out your position. What you did last night is what they want you to do, and you can't let the internet win.
No, but look, it's not even about what they want me to do. I did last night what I wanted to do. What
So Charlemagne will always pull a bit more weight.
And because he was he's less now, but he was very provocative.
We are provoker.
Yeah, he was like the Howard Stern, like very like provocative. DJ Envy, probably it was like Charlemagne, maybe DJ Envy and Angela the same, but I probably would say DJ Envy number 2, just because DJ Envy has more of the relationships. He's like the more, because he's like the DJ, he has the relationship with the artist, with the hip hop, whatever. And obviously Angela Yee, unfortunately, women in those spaces, if you're not like a Wendy Williams and being very, in your face, you're just moved to like doing the hot topics, gossip, segment. That's always the women. So anyway, long story short, Angela Yee steps down, and then they take a whole year where they have all these guests coming on, right? Guest hosts, and basically what they were trying to do in that time was to look for a replacement. Fast forward, they hired Jess Hilarious to be the replacement, right? So it's now Jess Hilarious, Charlemagne, and Envy. And then Jess Hilarious, like about some months after getting the gig, announces she's pregnant, right? So she's pregnant, continues working, goes on maternity leave, and before even she went on maternity leave, there's a lady called Lauren, what's her name? Lauren LaRosa, and I need to double check, who starts filling in for her, right? And I think Jess kind of, maybe kind of said, yeah, that's who I want. Well, she had the illusion of power. She was happy with but obviously the powers that be were happy. But now she comes back from it. So what's happened is, if you follow Jess Hilarious, she's a proper, her starting roots, right, are from Instagram, are from social media. She's like a social media comedian, right, who's turned into doing shows and stuff like that. Moving on to radio, traditional media, people kind of think like you can just transfer your skills from social media to traditional media. Sometimes yes, but it's not the same, right? So Jess, I think, used to, one of the things, it sounds bad, but people be like, oh, Jess kind of struggles reading like the line, like it sounds bad, but that's what, and I think they used to joke about it. So Lauren comes in and fills in, and Lauren is more like, she's got a background from TMZ, so she's able to be more professional, right? She's a little bit more knowledgeable. She can talk a little bit more about the politics and the issues. It's not just funnies with her, right? So during maternity leave, she's killing it. So Jess comes back, and obviously she's back from maternity leave, but Lauren is still around, right? So for some time now, people have kind of been like, so Lauren is still around, reporting on. So it got to the point like Jess used to have a segment called Jess with the Mess, and it all started on Instagram, and I guess on radio it was supposed to kind of be like a, gossip sort of segment. But yeah, anyway, fast forward, I'm skipping so many things. Last week, Jess Hilarious goes on Instagram Live, and she gets home. She probably had those days where she's like, these people got me. These people got me. And she looks at her phone and she says, you know what? Because she doesn't come from that like professional, navigating corporate. She goes on Instagram Live and she's like, you know what? The Breakfast Club is run like a high school. And she's like, you know what? Lauren is good, whatever, but people are not communicating what's happening, right? And the thing with Jess, she's looking at the comments, because obviously the comments are brutal. The comments are kind of like, Lauren is better. Lauren can read, like whatever. So she crashes out. She crashes out, and then so where we are at the moment is, it's still, they've done a whole like, oh, let's talk about it, and we can make it work, like the four of us kind of thing. And then Charlemagne and Envy obviously sort of acting like, oh, it's not our decision. But it's one of those things where, so this is what I believe has happened, right? Is when Jess was hired, I think management were strong-armed into hiring her. So what happened is they had a whole year of doing like guest co-hosts and whatever, right? And then it got to the point where Charlemagne was kind of like, I don't know what we're doing, we need to basically kind of say we need to announce Jess, because Jess is Charlemagne's person. You can tell. Like Charlemagne's kind of like taken a liking to her and created opportunities for her. So he's kind of brought her on. So he used his power to kind of be like, yeah, it should be Jess, right? He said it publicly because obviously the stuff that was happening behind the scenes wasn't working. And Jess herself prematurely announced that she was the host. So I think like management, so Jess already started the job in a there wasn't like full agreement, like, yes, we want this person, right? They were strong armed into it, and then she gets pregnant. You know, I mean, controversial.
It be is what it be.
It be what it be, but you know, it's the gig of a lifetime. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah. But then anyway, then she comes back. So my whole thing was, when I saw that, I was just like, oh, what's happened here is that whoever at iHeartMedia, who iHeartMedia owns Breakfast Club, they want Jess out, right? So they're purposely not communicating because they can't push her out. You can't push someone who's just come back from maternity leave. Can't push someone out where there's a contract. You know, you're still paying her. You're still what? So I was like, oh, Jess has taken the bait, right? And is now frustrated and is now pitting against the two women. And management is just watching like, let's see how this is going to go. Because for me, I was kind of like, it doesn't matter. Listen, if I go on maternity leave and you replace me with Brian, and Brian does such a good job and has got the baritone sound and whatever, and all the ladies are like, oh my God, we love Brian, right? It does not matter. As soon as I come, whether Brian brings 20,000 listeners, right, and I was only bringing 12, if I come back on maternity leave, Brian gotta go. I'm sorry. You guys as leadership, you have to find a more creative way to manage the situation. But I think this is what they were doing, really. They wanted, because it all started from comments, right? From the comment section, and then it ended up getting to Jess. And yeah, so it was all interesting to me because I was just like, oh, I want to see how this is going to play out. Because I don't think Jess can... I don't think she's going to stay much long. Or they definitely are not going to renew her contract.
That's if she's on a contract. Because a lot of media staff, radio, all of that, some of them are actually on are self-employed. And then they go in there on an agreement, pay rolling contracts, or every 6 months or 3 months, if that. So it's if there's a contract in place, it's not a long-term contract at all. It's probably a 3 month, 6 month thing. I think what complicated the issue was the pregnancy aspect of things.
Yeah.
Because now it seems as though the Breakfast Club is not, backing, women that are pregnant and all that kind of stuff. So that's where the issue really came to it. But in terms of contracts within most media spaces, it's very rare to find someone that's got a 5-year contract or something.
Yeah.
Right? It's usually just 6 months, 12 months on a rolling sort of scheme, stuff like that, because they know how that landscape changes so rapidly. And the last thing they want to do is pay somebody millions. Some guys, even self-employed, even speaking here in the UK, some guys that are self-employed and do radio every day, you'll find that they're actually getting paid per show rather than per month. Yes, they might get paid at the end of the month, but it's paid per show, how many shows you've done. So that's what you get paid on mostly. So it's the whole thing is very, in terms of radio employment and TV employment, is structured so weirdly that the winner is always the production house. It's never the individual, because if you're self-employed, you get pregnant, that's your own problem.
Yep.
It's not the business's problem. And then you even further add how the US is not very keen on people taking time off anyway.
Yeah.
So it's a lot going on. It'll be interesting to see what happens, because Charlamagne, I'm sure, will sort Larissa out somewhere.
No. Because they've announced that Lauren is going to have her own podcast on Charlamagne's network. So it's just been interesting to me because I'm like, everyone is doing what they need to do, and you're right. Like the production, the management is always the winner, because even now it's become content, right? So the fact that Jess went online, like, I'm sure the Breakfast Club has seen a spike because people are like, we want to hear this dynamic because Jess went into work the
Precisely.
next day and then they talked about it on the show. So you could tell like Charlemagne is like producing like because he's laughing. He's like, oh, why didn't you come in with your headgear, like with your bonnet, like that you had on your Instagram live?
Wow.
So in a way, it's like there's so many. I think Jess's reaction is real, but there's now another layer which is a content thing, right? Because I'm like, everyone's doing what they need to do because Jess went to her comfort zone, which is social media, and she knows what to do with that. And she's probably, and what I've seen her doing on her page, she's still like, she's booked, she's got her shows, she's doing more of the stuff on her socials because you can tell she's kind of like exit plan. And Lauren did what she needed to do. You come into a job and you're given a part-time, you try and add value, all that stuff.
But it goes back to what we started with. At the end of the day, when it says 1.3 million people watched, it doesn't matter what the people were saying, whether it was bad rep for her that she can't read, she can't do this and the third. She doesn't care. Her Instagram profile got loads of views, got loads of followers. She's sorted. All she now needs is to monetize that sort of value that she's just brought on the table. How do you monetize it? Whether it's a new show or whatever, she's got to do it. But there we are.
No. So we'll watch this space. Did you watch Adolescence on Netflix?
Yeah, I've seen that. That's all I can say.
That needs its own episode, Danjo. It was so good, right?
It was good. Really good acting. Right across. And I like the whole idea of how they shot it, and all that, to shoot one episode in a day sort of thing. Obviously they had 5-day windows to shoot one episode, but they were trying to do everything in one day continuous take, which is pretty cool. Really cool.
Wow. I've kind of seen, the drone stuff and whatever, and I've seen an interview with the Owen Cooper, who's the 13-year-old actor, and apparently like it was his first role, and I was like, wow, like just like I saw everyone talking about it, and I was like, okay, let me see, let me press play, and the first thing I saw, I was like, hey, I saw Ashley Waters' shoulders, like proper. I said, hi, let me watch this. Let's press play over here.
Oh my God, not man like Ashley.
He did so good.
He's getting better as an actor every time. Well, he's a producer now and everything.
Oh, really?
Director. Yeah, he's directing and producing now, so we'll see more of him.
Because he was on, there's another Netflix one called Missing You. I think it's a Harlan.
Oh yeah, that guy. Cohen, whatever.
Yeah. It's a. But so you're right. Like his acting is just. I'm just like, wow. He's really worked on his craft.
Yeah.
And. Okay, I could be wrong. I saw Brad Pitt was one of the EPs, executive producers for Adolescence.
If the same Brad Pitt, I wouldn't be surprised.
Oh, really? Does he like invest in that sort of stuff?
People forget. One thing people forget is that a lot of British artists, in terms of actors, actresses, move to Hollywood and end up acting in Hollywood as if they're American. The British film industry is strong, It's very
Wait,
strong.
are you trying to say Brad Pitt is British?
No. I'm just saying in general, as in I see why you would support a British production via Netflix. Because the British film industry is strong like that. Because think about things like the actors that have gone there. What's that guy that did that show? What's his name? There's so many. Daniel as well. Is there. There's just so many I can't even think. But there's just way too many British actors and actresses that live in Hollywood as if they own Hollywood, which is annoying a lot of Americans actually, because they're like, how come our roles are always taken?
No, the Brits are good. I'm sorry. Like, if you watch the drama, I think there's just something about the way. I think because British actors have to act in things that are not overproduced,
Yep.
So you have to really hone in the skill of acting. There's just something about, and the whole theater drama school, that thing works.
Yeah, because that's what
Yeah.
they specialize in, film school and theater here. Is
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah. No, let me not share. But anyway, remember what I was talking about before we hit record. But let me learn to keep, because the village people be villaging out here. But anyway,
Some people's granny's on a broom right now somewhere in the world.
but yes, but adolescents, no, I'm gonna have a episode just about this. Oh, I am so sorry. Yes, thank you so much, Brian. I think that's it for this week. Always appreciate having you around,
I
and
love being here.
thank you so much, because I was like, man, Brian, please, and Brian was like, yes, let's see what this investment, let's see what's
Let's see
happening.
what the returns are looking like.
But no, guys, have a good week, and thank you so much. Bye.